Hello everyone. So in the previous video I went and shown on how to use a kind of like a little project box to build up a camera scenario like this, nice and rugged, which is fine. Now the camera I used for that one, if you want to go back to the video, something like that, and that will allow you to have your power and also the ability to change a lot of settings. Now there's another camera out there which is an E700, which is supplied by a company called Shure 24, and I'll put that link in the description so you can just get straight to it. And what you get is something like this. Now just so I don't get any form of comment, this is not a camera from Shure 24. The camera supplied by Shure 24 actually has a little directional, almost like little joystick in here, but this camera, I'm not bothered about that, and I think this camera can actually do almost straight out of the box, and I have used it before. All you've got to make sure that you do is you remove the IR filter inside. However, I won't go into that on this video. The main thing is the actual dimensions of this particular camera. It's 30mm by 30mm, which based on the kind of information out there is essentially able to slot in here like so. Now this is not a easy press fix, and you've got to kind of mess around, and I will try and do this for the next 10 seconds. If it goes on longer, in fact, no, it's going in. Yeah, it's easier than I thought. So sometimes it'll be a bit awkward, but what's important, I don't know whether you can see it down there, there's a slight ridge on the inside of this. Here's one, I don't know whether you can just see it, there's a ridge. And what happens is the camera, when you push it down on here, it then sits on this ridge. And because this is a machined piece of plastic or moulded, is it moulded or machined? It will enable it to sit square, and obviously, like I've mentioned on a previous video, it's making sure that you have this element square to your eyepiece. If you get any form of tilting, I mean this is exaggerated, it's going to make the image appear incorrect on your screen, and it's going to cause you all grief. Now by pushing that in there, it does make this a little tighter, but nonetheless it's a metal case and it will cope with that. So that is essentially what you're going to use to slide on the camera. Now what I will do is I like to keep everything as true as I can. My next steps are going to be is I will be drilling a hole in the centre of here using the center finder tool that I used on a previous video. I probably won't go through that step because that's relatively boring, but basically we're just going to drill the holes through the centre. There is another method to doing this, but I don't know, I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. You can route the cable down and cut a slot in the side that will allow you, once you screw this in, it'll pinch it up. I like the method, but the method I'm going to use is drill through there. I need to cut the cable here, and this will all become apparent for the connection up to my screen. So I'll be cutting the cable here, attach it to some new cable, threading it through, and putting a grommet in. So right, we'll go out, do a quick bit of drilling, come back and then put this together, and then we'll attach it up to the camera and see how it looks. So here we are, getting ready to drill the centre part for the alternative screen mounting. But I just want to go through, if you watched the previous video, you'd have seen that I utilised a drill bit like this. Having sharp drill bits is going to be key. So plumped out, went out to good old B&Q, got a nice little juicy 8mm drill bit. And what I quite like is with this point here, that helps with the drill press to be quite specific of where you're going to drill this out to. So just a top tip, shop tools does the job properly, rubbish tools does a rubbish job. So okay, I'll get set up. So there we go, just going to get some drilling done. there we go, central hole. Again, the other video where I was doing the screen mounting box, you saw that the difference between the type of hole that I drilled. So that is clean. I won't have to do any form of faffing around with that. So again, sharp drill bit will be the key to making these hassle free. Right, back to the house. Right, back in the warmth. So what we're wanting to do now is, now we've got this, we want to put the grommet in the hole. Now this can be a fiddly exercise, and the best way I could say is just press it in so it firmly goes, and then get something with a relative flat edge and just press through and just give it a bit of a roll with your screwdriver or whatever you're using. Best probably with something like so. So once you've got it flush, that's it, that's that part done. So what we'll do, I've gone out and bought a cable. This is audio-visual cable, and it's actually got 4 wires inside instead of the 3 that you normally get. And I'll cover wiring, a full video of wiring and what's what in probably the next video. But yeah, so I've got 4 cores. So I want roughly about a foot of that. So, and this, I mean, this can actually be longer or shorter. It depends on whether you're wanting to make sure that you're covered for all eventualities of different scope lengths. If you upgrade, downgrade, well, you should downgrade on the scope. You should really be getting the best you can. But that'll help you. So what I'll do is I'll just tidy up the wires, because there's a little tip that I want to show you for doing this method. Because when you're going to twist this through, it's going to you could run into causing yourself some problems, but I'll cover that in a minute. So I'll just get the wires prepared. So it's a bit laborious, but yeah, bear with me. Okay, so probably just right. So we're back quicker, because I actually thought might as well go through the whole stage, because it makes sense. So pop my grommet in here. I don't know whether you can see this well enough. In fact, I might switch the old angle around. There we go, that's probably better. Right, so we've got the cap with the grommet in. So what we want to do is we want to push the cable that we've cut, obviously to the specific length, just through, probably about halfway. And you might think, well, that's excessive, but the reason doing it this way is if you try to think that you're going to keep it as trim as you can up to this cap, you're not going to have a way to manoeuvre around and get the wires that you do. So, well, because you're going to be wanting to do some cutting and so on. So what you want to do is make a cut around there. If you have proper cable tools, which cable strippers, which I don't, this will be so much easier. And I'm probably making a hash of this and this. Okay, so got us wiring exposed. Now with the cable that I've got, it's got a additional kind of shielding to it, which I'll trim off. And the only 3 wires that I'm really interested in to keep it all colour coded are the red, yellow and black. So all I'll do is I'll just trim those back and then continue with the rest. Okay, so trim them back, because there's going to be no electricity or anything flowing through those or any form of signal. I'm not too fussed with having them exposed slightly. Right, so we've got the cable, got the camera all ready. So what I've done, I don't know where you can just make it out there, so I put a blob of super glue there to give me an indication of when I'm coming to the end of the cable, because you don't want to pull all this through, because trying to get back in is going to be an absolute nightmare. Well, it probably won't be a nightmare, it'll just be fiddly, it'll just be annoyance. So what you want to do is just pop your connector in, obviously the right way round. Oh, it was the right way. Like so. So like that. And then making sure that you thread this the right way through, so you go from the underneath and through. Just want to make sure that I've got, oh, like so. So, as you can see, I've pulled too much. What I want to do is give it a couple of turns backwards to curl it and twist. And there you have it. All done. Nice, neatly connected. Right, so next part is I've got two alternatives. One like so, which then will slip into a tube like that. Again, if you put a bit of insulation tape around here, it'll slide in and keep it quite nice. And then you'd use a tube like this if you've got a larger diameter scope, so something like an eyepiece that'll be about 45mm. This will fit over, which I think is the MTC type scope. Not too sure, but obviously someone will correct me on that. The scope that I've got, which has been put out by Evo Hunter, I believe that I might have got a bit of a cheapy Chinese Bushnell scope, which I was being disappointed in that because I thought it was a genuine one. However, I'll pick that up with the person who sold it me. So there you go. So that's two ways you can mount the camera. It's all going to be down to personal preference, how much fiddling, how you want it to look. So there you go. There's another alternative for you. Thanks.